Hello, everyone. Welcome. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Those of you that know me know my computer poofed, and I still don't have a computer. And tonight my husband is letting me use his computer, which I don't know. Why do I have troubles with computers? I don't know. So welcome, welcome. Please, let's get started right away with hearing who you are, where you're from, what your discipline is in the chat section. And when you are typing in the chat section, can you please make sure that you put to all panelists and attendees? I mean, of course, if you only want to chat with us panelists, you can sure do that as well. But we would love for you to chat with everyone. And sometimes people kind of forget that. So, okay, we got Susie from New Zealand, OT Pediatrics. Cool. Welcome. Mary, OT Connecticut, Lance from New York, Margaret from OT Chicago, Home Health, Betsy, hey Betsy, OT, PhD from Connecticut, Holly, Colorado, awesome. Keep coming on. Hey Erin, do you want to kind of keep looking at the chat, and I'm gonna see if I can try to live stream this tonight.
Sure. We've got Bridget Thompson from Arizona. Got Amanda, OT from Delaware. Kathy from Connecticut. Ooh, they're coming in so fast I can't keep up. Jeanette from Utah. Bree from San Francisco Bay Area. Welcome, everybody. Bonnie from Ohio. Sandra from Cleveland. Colorado, we've got Leanne. Welcome, everybody. So fun to see you all from all over the place. Tracy. Chicago. Fun. Ively. Julie Frakes, Chicago area. Welcome. Hi, Sheila. Got Oakland, California. Donna from OT in Virginia. Coda, New York. So exciting. I love to see some people from all over the world. It's so fun. New York, Florida. Yvette from Florida. Erica from Canada, welcome.
Okay, I think we're gonna live stream it too.
Hi, Yolanda.
While we're going. Come back here. Okay, awesome. Okay. Well,
those of you that just popped on, if you want to introduce yourself, where you're from, what discipline you are, that'd be fantastic. We love to see where everyone's from.
Welcome, everybody.
Okay, perfect. Oh, lots of familiar faces. Hi, everyone. Thank you guys so much for being on here. And it's 8:05, and I know more people are still popping on, but I also know that Erin and Jill have a lot of great content, and I want to make sure we get through that all. So we should probably get started. So feel free tonight, keep typing in the chat section. We're going to keep track of the chat section as we go. If you have questions, go ahead and put them there. We're going to try to keep everyone actively involved as we go through tonight. Those of you on Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, if you could put live. If you're watching replay, put replay. So for those of you that do not know me, my name is Kara Welke. I'm an occupational therapist. I've been in OT for 20 years. I feel like I've been saying 20 years forever. I will eventually switch that to 21 years. But this I'm super excited about this webinar. And before I introduce the two speakers for tonight, I just want to talk a little bit about why. So I didn't get into this world really of entrepreneurship until last year, May, when I went to Smart Success Healthcare, and I really saw everything out there that someone could do. And I mean, I was technically an entrepreneur, but I didn't really even think about it. I mean, I have my own mobile business, but I mean, it was just kind of slugging along, right? But it was at this conference that I really realized all of the potential out there. And at this conference, I signed up for Greg Todd's mastermind, which is a $30,000 mastermind. And so for me, like my husband says, he's like, you just jump straight in and swim as fast as you can, and you don't think about anything, okay? So that's me, that's my personality. And I took everything and just went full speed ahead. But a lot of people around me didn't do that. And I think it really hit me, in May, actually. I think we had one of our last meetings in the mastermind program, and I was in a group of people. We kind of had little subgroups, and I was in a group of people, and maybe one, pretty much none of the people in that group had done anything or got where they wanted, okay? But they paid the same as me, right? They had all the same resources as me, but they didn't get where they needed to be. And I see that in lots of places. So we're all different. And even though the fact that I jumped in and swam as fast as I can, I have tons of areas that I do really need to dig down deep in. For example, one of my coaches in March, just kept telling me, you need to focus, Carrie, you need to focus, you're doing too much. And I didn't listen. And then I started this other side thing. And then I didn't have time for that. And I just kind of let it go. And now I'm back and I'm like, I need to focus. I need to focus. And we were laying in bed and we were talking about our day, and I was telling my husband how I should have listened to Alex and Will. I needed to focus. He's like, Kara, I've been telling you that forever. You should have listened to your husband. And he is a psychologist, and all benefit from this sort of thing. So I found the best people to present to us on what do we really need. And for all of us that are those shiny object people that see all of this and we sign up and we do all of this, but we don't really get where we really want to go, this is going to be great for you. For those of you that don't know what you want to do, you're not clear, this is going to be great for you, because all of us really are going to benefit from this information tonight. So I'm just really excited. Now, I will tell you, all of you guys are going to get something free for staying on that we hope will help you after this. We do have an offer that we will offer at the end. And this has been our leadership team. Many people in our leadership team, Next Level Leadership team, have been talking about this for a long time, and we've brainstormed and so forth. And we brought in Jill, who's been a life coach for 18 plus years and literally does this for a living, helps people do a deep dive, figure out really where you need to be before you go. Because is it good that I just drove in and swim really fast, not thinking about things? Probably not, but we're just going to learn so much. So let me introduce Jill and Aaron, our speakers tonight, and they're going to talk a little bit more about themselves, and then we'll get rolling into the presentation. So thank you guys so much for being here. Jill, do you want to maybe introduce yourself first, and then introduce, and then since she kind of starts?
Sure. Thank you so much. And Kara, thank you for organizing this webinar. I'm super excited to talk. I think the greatest challenge of the night is keeping my talk to like 20 minutes or so, because I could talk about this stuff for hours and hours and hours. So I apologize in advance if I go over, but I'm going to do my best to give everybody tons of value. So I am an occupational therapist. I've been an OT 29 years. But yes, for the past 18 years, I've been primarily practicing as a life coach. I hired a life coach when I was out of school. I was practicing for probably about 12 or 13 years, traditional OT, you know, in the clinic, doing all the, you know, strokes and spinal cord and doing all that. And I sort of hit a wall and was a little bored, a little sort of disenchanted with the whole field. And I got a little nervous. I was like, gosh, I'm only out of school 12 years. And I'm already feeling like sort of burned out. Like I couldn't even put a word to it. So it was when I hired a life coach for me, it was a game changer. And I was blown out of my mind. I mean, this life coach worked with me, completely changed up my whole entire career. And I pivoted from wearing scrubs and sneakers every day in the clinic, totally turned my world around, became a marketing person using all my skills. And then later on ended up going back to school myself to become a coach. And now my entire practice pretty much is helping other therapists level up in their careers and transform themselves. Not just therapists, I work with OTs, PTs, doctors, nurses, and people not in the medical field too, because a lot of people get stuck in their career. And then I also have a huge passion around health and wellness. So I have another, you know, part of my practice is also just traditional like OT/coaching, working with health and wellness, getting people healthier and getting them to get excited about their bodies and their lives and mind, body, spirit, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so that's a quick version of what I do. And I've been doing that pretty much full time for 10 years now. I've been doing it for 18, but about the past 10, it's been pretty much full time. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill. Erin.
Hey, everybody. I'm so happy to be here tonight, and I'm glad you have all joined on taking time out of your busy night to join us. I've also been an occupational therapist for about 20 years, more on the 19 years. And I've always had the passion to help and serve others. In some way, shape, or form, I have been in the healthcare field, started as a companion aide before I was old enough to even have a healthcare career. And I actually started out in physical therapy school. And the week before my interview, I changed to OT because I was just fascinated more with the mind-body connection, the holistic integrative nature of OT. So switched my major, had to go another year to get all the requirements for OT. So I ended up with a minor in psychology as well. And throughout my OT career, I worked in all different settings. And very similar to Jill, started just to felt like there was more. There had to have been more to our bodies than what I was seeing. And it wasn't until I actually sought out help for myself. I struggled with anxiety, and that's when I found my calling. I began my holistic journey through treatment and holistic approaches and coaching, that I overcame that part of my life, and just how it deepened my knowledge of myself and how it helped me overcome things in life. That's where I pursued that path with my OT career. And then personal experience also gave me understanding and empathy for women who suffered from women's health issues, and which led me to expand my holistic practice into women's health in 2010. So I now own my own holistic, multidisciplinary holistic health practice and collaborative, where my integrative approach not only includes the physical health of my clients, but also the social, emotional, and energetic well-being of my clients. And through the work, I've experienced that this approach is not only successful in the clinical setting, but also in business, relationships, and all aspects of life. So it's really carried it over for me, mentoring other people in different areas of their life through physical touch, but also in these other areas. So empower as many men and women as possible, both peers and clients, through guidance, mentorship, advocacy, and through holistic OT practice. So I'm really excited to be here to share with you tonight and how we can bring you to love your life and love the life that you deserve. All right. Well,
Carol, you're muted.
Muted.
Sorry,
There we go.
I
Better.
muted myself. We already introduced ourselves, so we can skip over that. There we go. Erin, you can take over. I'll control the screen.
All right. So what you're going to learn tonight is we're going to identify what makes us stuck and the consequences of staying stuck. And we're going to learn and explain the 6 steps required to shift towards success. Jill's going to share that with you. And then Kara's going to learn, you're going to learn how you can go through personal transformation to shift from stuck to success in your life and your career. All right. So I want to start out by asking you all a question, and I want you to answer yes or no in the chat section, if you will. Are any of you feeling stuck where you are currently in your life? Maybe in your career or business, maybe it's in relationships, in health, or maybe your financial situation. Maybe you've tried to improve, to change, but you just can't seem to take the next step. Or maybe you've started, but then fall back into the same old routines, patterns, ways. So just go ahead and keep answering yes or no. And then, if you're willing, I want you to share in what area in your life and what's making you feel stuck. Sometimes feeling stuck is like you're stuck in the mud or quicksand, and the harder you try, the worse it gets. So I'm just kind of watching as some of these are coming up here, and I'm seeing a lot of yeses. And those of you that are answering yeses, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Feeling stuck is very, very common, actually. We've all been there, and you're going to hear some of our stories along the way. And I've been there myself in way more areas in life than one. So I'm seeing all different areas of life. So good, we're going to touch on a lot of these. Being stuck can leave us actually quite frustrated, even angry, feeling trapped, powerless, helpless, and it's not fun. But sometimes being stuck is what we need to take the next step forward. It's that space that we need to be in to give us the clarity on what we need to move forward. So being stuck is also a sign that something no longer is working for you. It could be in your job, your relationship, it could be in your circle of friends, or even your hobbies. It's a sign that it's time to make a change. And remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So sometimes when we're stuck, we're not even aware of it. And we don't realize it because we're so deep within it. We don't realize what's going on, or actually what we're doing to self-sabotage. We kind of get stuck in this loop. We lose our mojo, we stop our flow, and we don't even realize we're doing it. There's a podcast that I listen to, the mindset mentor, his name is Rob Dial, and he always says, when you're in the jar, you can't read the label. And so sometimes we just need to take a step back. We need to get a different view. We need an outside view, maybe someone else's perspective, to really give us clarity in what's going on. So there is hope to get unstuck, and Jill's going to share some of those tips with you in a bit. But first, the first step is being aware. So without awareness, there is no choice to change. So next, we're going to explain a few examples of what it may look like to be stuck. Even though a lot of you have already shared that you know that you're feeling stuck, I'm just going to put a few other examples out there, and throughout, Jill and Kara and I are going to kind of share some of our experiences with some of these examples. So in the comment area, I just want you to comment if any of these resonate with you. So the first one, maybe you started a business, or you've been in a business for a long time and it's just status quo or stagnant. There's no change or growth no matter how much effort you put in. Or maybe you're in a job or career that is just no longer fulfilling. And this is one that I can share my experience with. You know, when we get into our careers and we get into life, we get into the corporate world, we're expected to climb the ladder, get to the next step. Well, that's what I did. I went, when you climb the ladder, your monetary exchange changes. So I got to the point of management. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I was so unhappy. I was so unfulfilled, to the point where it was affecting my relationships. I would get home and my kids and my husband, they got what was left. They got the short, the short version of me. I was very, very quick to anger with them. And that's one area that I really had to take a deep dive and really look at how, this strive for what I thought that was expected of us to have more monetary exchange or gain, but it was causing such emotional depletion. And I had to make that decision to step down. So I became a staff therapist. I made that big decision to go from management to working alongside of them until I moved on to open my own practice. But that's just one example of just not being fulfilled. Or maybe you dread going to work each day. You're not excited to get out of bed each morning to go to your job. Or do any of you have that Sunday dread? You get to Sunday evening and you're just dreading Monday. Or maybe you got into business with the wrong person, or made big, poor investments, or a series of poor decisions. And this could be in any aspect of life. And sometimes I talk with people, who are further down the path in their life, and they just feel like, oh, it's too late now. I can't make a change now. I've been at this too long. Or maybe you're just going through the motions of life. You're on autopilot. Have any of you guys driven to work and you don't even remember getting there? There was a time where I was a new mom and it was just natural for me just to go to work, and I totally forgot to go to daycare. And those are just examples where our brain just takes over. We just are on autopilot. And sometimes the toll of that daily grind just depletes our energy, depletes our time. Or sometimes our relationships or our self-care get lost in the shuffle of the day-to-day. And I know, Kara, you had a experience that you wanted to share regarding that.
Yes, sorry. I've kind of sidetracked because I'm trying to fix the Zoom screen because some people are seeing boxes over things. And it's because, again, it's my fault because I'm on my husband's computer and I know I'm not sharing it. I'm not doing something right. So I'm trying to fix it. So I'm kind of panicking here. So, okay, where were you at, Erin? I know I was supposed to be sharing here.
That's right. Just where your relationships and your self-care kind of get lost in the shuffle.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So I have taught for the last 7.5 years. So this is the first year in like 8 years that I haven't taught. I mean, I should have been at school yesterday and today teaching because that's, what I've done. But my self-care and it was awful. My husband, just noted like how much time and effort that I put into teaching. And I mean, I would be at my office till 1 a.m. several nights. I'd be working late. I mean, and I was the only one at the school. I mean, I swear, like, me and the nighttime cleaning staff knew each other well. So I put in so much time and effort, and I devoted so much to that because I love teaching my students, and I was determined that I wanted those students to be the best students they could be, right? Because they're coming from my program, what I'm teaching them, and I was also the fieldwork coordinator. So I wasn't going to send out students that weren't the best. So I put in a lot of time and effort. And every spring for the last several years, except for this spring, I would get sick and just, couldn't even function because I was just so overworked and not taking care of myself. Because in the spring semester, I did everything for field work, but I didn't get time for that. I didn't get paid. I didn't get, administrative time for that or anything. I had to teach my biggest load in the spring semester. So I taught all day, every day. And it was the most stressful semester because I taught the adult physical health. And again, it's kind of my passion area, but yet I also wanted to make sure they knew and could do everything. It was really stressful. And we started a few years ago that I'm like, we have to change things. Things have to change. I can't keep doing this. I'm getting sick every spring. We have to shift the load more to the fall. I need hours for field work, da, 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 da. So we thought we were going there. We were going to start a new program. We had, made plans to change it. Well, I thought it was supposed to start January 1st of last year. Well, all of a sudden I found out, well, no, it would have to be the following January 1st. And I was like, I can't do it. I cannot do another spring semester. So what I ended up doing is I applied for a sabbatical. And it was too late for me to apply for a sabbatical, but I applied for time without or pay without leave, or I asked for a leave of absence or whatever, which people have done before and they've granted. And then after that, I also applied for a sabbatical. So it would have given me 1 semester and 1 year off, and then I could have come back when the program was how we wanted it, and I was going to use that sabbatical to help improve the program, right? So last fall, and I found people that could fill my spot, da, 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 da. Well, anyways, I think it was October, maybe November, that they told me that they couldn't grant my leave of absence because they couldn't find people to cover it, which whatever, because I found people to cover it. And, I remember getting that email, and I was just like, what? And I should say I offered to teach the second years out. I offered to go part-time. I offered to do whatever. I just could not do it. It was not healthy. So I sent the email, or I got this email that they couldn't do or whatever. And I sent the reply back, and I just said, I'm very sad to hear this. And as I've explained, I cannot do it for my health, da, 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 and I said, I guess I will have to resign. I got an email the next day. We'll take this letter, and I said that I can submit a formal email of resignation, whatever. I got an email the next day. Email is the official communication of Northland. We accept your resignation, and boom. My dean supervisor never talked to me once. And the president, who was always talking to me and whatever, never heard anything from them. And it was like, I put my last 7.5 years into this program. I mean, I gave my heart and soul. I put all of my time and attention, and I took that away from my kids and my family, where I could have been devoting to them, for people that really didn't give a shit. I mean, I was literally a slot that could be replaced. And you do not want to be in that position. You need to be able to take care of yourself. And then I was so worried about moving, but I know Greg, was my coach, and he's like, this is the best thing that's happened to you. You're not, just, it'll be okay. Because I was so stressed about that was my insurance. That was everything. Because I carried the insurance because my husband's a psychologist, works for himself and whatever. So, but it was the best move. Although I greatly miss the students and so forth, but you also need to be treated with respect and dignity and all of that as well. So sorry, I kind of rambled, but
Oh, it's not at all.
kind of
Thanks for sharing.
big story.
It's a great
So
story.
who are my procrastinators out there? Put in the comments section.
Can I raise my hand too?
Absolutely, Jill.
I'm a world-class Olympic level procrastinator.
Yeah, so procrastination, especially on important projects, is another sign of being stuck. And never finishing what you start before you moving on to the next thing. And I am severely guilty of this. And one of my biggest things is books. I get a book, I'm like, oh, this looks so interesting. I get partway into it, and I buy another one, and I start reading the next one, and I haven't even finished or implemented what I've learned in the first one. So that's my, another example is I've completed 2 certifications, but I just haven't done the case studies on the one and haven't done the tests on the other, but I've done all the mentoring, I've done everything, but I just don't finish it. So that's another example of one of my challenges of being stuck. And are any of you stuck in the learning loop where you are continually buying the next thing, but just don't have what it takes to take action? So you're continually learning because you feel like you're doing something productive, but you just can't put it into action. It's another example of being stuck. Or just having that veil over your face, like in a fog, feeling distracted, disoriented, lacking direction, confused, sometimes feeling numb or empty. Indecisiveness. This is one for me, and I can kind of relate to Kara, where, you know, when I opened my own practice, it was a side gig, and I kept building it and building it, building it, but I never decreased my hours at work. And then as I did decrease the hours, I just couldn't take that last leap of letting that job go. And it got to the point where I was losing revenue at my business, but I still couldn't let go of it. I just couldn't make that decision. And that decision, that being stuck in that indecisiveness, made me lose revenue, and also patients lost the ability to get treatment. So being able to make decisions is very important. And sometimes it's knowing where you want to go, but you just can't move yourself. You're immobilized. It's like being on the water, seeing your destination, but you don't know how to swim. Or failure to launch. You have so much fear and apprehension, and you never feel ready. You just never take that step. Or maybe you feel like Phil Connors, where you wake up every day to a life you don't enjoy, but you just don't have a clue how to fix it. I'm assuming most of you have seen Groundhog's Day. Great movie. There's a lot of good leadership lessons in that movie, but that's a perfect example of being stuck and where you need change. So what makes us stuck? Carrie, do you want to flip the slide?
Yep, and we're getting lots of great comments, Erin. And I can't open up the chat section, otherwise it covers up what people are seeing. So I'm trying to look on my phone, but a lot of people are saying, I feel like I could see yes to all of these: distractions, indecision, I can't pick out what I want to learn, overwhelmed with which direction to go. So just wanted to pass some of that on to you.
And you know what, I'm going to give you guys kudos, because having that awareness is the first step, and that's so important. So you guys are identifying that you know you need change, and you're in the perfect spot. Jill's going to teach you guys some great tips to get started. So what are some of the things that make us stuck? So this is just taking a little dive deeper. And the number one thing on this list is that we don't know what we want. Sometimes we aren't sure what we want, what we need in our lives, our career, even in our next project, sometimes even in our next hour. We just lack the clarity and vision. And sometimes we just do what everyone else is doing, or what others are telling us to do, or what others are expecting us to do. Which kind of leads into the next thing, is we don't know who we are. And sometimes when we say that, people don't really know what that means. So I'm going to explain that a little bit. Knowing who you are is respecting, but not necessarily attaching to, your strengths and your weaknesses, your passions and your fears, your thoughts and your feelings, your desires and dreams, and your tolerances and your limitations. Really understanding what your values are, your beliefs, your interests, your priorities, so they can align with your goals. Really being aware of what you're feeling, knowing what's going on within. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you believe in what your heart is telling you, or do you believe what others are telling you, or what others are expecting of you? Just because our families were lawyers doesn't mean that that's the best path for you. Just because all your friends are married and have some children doesn't mean that's the path for you. Or just because everyone around you works 9 to 5 doesn't mean that that's your path. So just remember that the majority of people feel stuck. So if we're doing things like the majority of the people, we maybe will get stuck. So it's really getting to know yourself, which is a journey, and it's a deep dive within, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It's taking that deep dive, it's facing those fears, the self-doubts, the vulnerabilities, the insecurities, you know, doing the search on the inside, not the outside. So doing the work, which can be hard. Socrates says, know thyself, and knowing thyself is the beginning of wisdom. The third one is, we know what we want, but maybe we just don't know how to chart the path. We don't know, we're lacking that planning or the execution. We don't have a structure or a plan that motivates us, or we don't have a system that rewards our actions to keep us going. And number 4 is obstacles get in the way that threaten to throw us off the path. And often, and this is the most common cause, but most commonly these obstacles are a symptom of not knowing what we want or not knowing who we are. And we're more vulnerable to these obstacles than we really need to be. And some of those obstacles are being overscheduled, being overwhelmed, fear of failure or taking risks, and sometimes fear of success. Insecurities, self-doubt, limiting beliefs that maybe I'm not worthy of love, I don't deserve to be happy, I don't deserve to have money. Some people feel like having money is selfish. I'm not good enough, I don't know enough. So if you look at one of these 4, pick one and put in the chat that you feel like you can identify most with.
And Erin, while people are doing that, I just want to mention, Nancy had mentioned, I thought all these feelings were depression. I don't know if Jill or Erin have anything to say on that.
And that's very true that sometimes feeling stuck can come off as feeling frustrated or depressed.
Yeah. It's depressing when you're stuck.
Mm-hmm. And
normal reaction. Yeah.
And knowing that sometimes we have to go into those feelings, yeah, to come out of it. It sometimes it is heavy work, but when you get to the other side, it's so worth it. Yeah. So some of the consequences of feeling stuck, and this kind of leads into that. You know, staying stuck can have mild to severe consequences. And some of the mild ones are, you know, just succumbing to the idea of my life is okay, just being complacent, you know, I'm okay. I may never reach my full potential, or I may not get to my highest level of happiness, or I may not impact everyone in the world that maybe I can, but you're okay. But other things that can happen in different areas of your life, it can really hinder your career growth, or disrupt a marriage, or cause a serious health consequences or disease, kind of like Kara talked about, or financial consequences like bankruptcy, and another like depression. Just being stuck for that long, you can get, the longer you wait, the deeper and deeper you can get, and the deeper those feelings can get. There was a quote that I found, or it was actually a study, and it was done by Bonnie Ware, who was a palliative care nurse. And she did a survey on her clients that were dying. And the #1 regret of the dying was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. And I thought that was so powerful, and it brings me back to what pushed me to get out of my rut and to get into to start my own practice. Is my best friend from college died. And that's what it took for me to be like, you know what? Life is so uncertain. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. And that just put, you know, like, I don't want to live a day without, with a regret again. So, I mean, and granted, we need to have a plan, but we also need to follow our hearts, our desires, our dreams. So why don't people do anything about being stuck? And the #1 reason is that the pain of being stuck is smaller than the pain of freeing yourself. And like we said earlier, that, you know, doing interpersonal work, going inside can be hard, but it's so worth it. Or we're just not aware, people are just aren't aware of your personal barriers or what is holding you back. So you need that, sometimes you need that outside perspective and help to look inside. You know, we can get stuck in our comfort zones, emotional or financial security. And some people just really fear change. So taking that step can be hard, but those feelings can increase as time goes on. And the more you ignore it, the bigger it becomes and the more dependent you can become. So most people wait till the pain of being stuck becomes much bigger than doing something about it. So my encouragement to you is don't wait. Many of you have already identified that you're stuck, and we're here to help you get started. So there's a quote, Carrie, you want to flip to the next slide? When you're feeling,
I want to share something really quick, Erin. Sandra said, it's the pain we know versus unknown. And then I also wanted to say 4 people said number 1, 2 people said number 2, 9 people said number 3, and 3 people said number 4. And I might be off a little bit, but that's about where we're at on that. So,
okay, awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think we're off on slides a little bit, but this is when we were talking about knowing yourself, this quote came from that. Knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom, mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. The cost of not following your heart is spending the rest of your life wishing you had, by Jay Paulson. So Carol, will you flip forward one more? Keep going. One more. There we go. So when feeling stuck, sometimes you don't know what you need to get unstuck. Even if you don't see the end result and don't know where you're exactly going, it's crucial that you just keep moving. And this one I think is powerful for a lot of you that said number 3. I think number 3 was, you know where you want to be, but you just don't know how to chart the path. And just remember, being stuck sometimes is our opportunity to take a step back or back up so we can get a running start. It's the time where we're holding space to gather new information, new insights before embarking on that new adventure. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. Each tiny step is progress. And when you're willing to do the work, the hard work, your best is yet to come. So I'm excited now to turn it over to Jill, who's gonna share 6 steps with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Give it up for Erin. Thank you. All right, you guys. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to shift. So while we've been spending so much energy over the past, I don't know, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, however long we've been on the webinar, talking about being stuck, what I'd like to do is have all of you shift your attention just a little bit and think about the last time you did have success. Because everybody on this call, everybody on this webinar, you're already successful people. Well, yeah, there's absolutely at least 1 or 2 areas where we get stuck, myself included, okay? We can all raise our hand at a lot of things of the list that Erin talked about. What I want you to do right now, and please put it in the chat box, I want you to think about a success that you've already achieved, something that you've already mastered, something that you had a goal at one time in your life and you really focused and you really went for it and you actually achieved it, right? Like, so you've got success, right? So let's see, so getting your PhD, awesome. Getting into OT school, right? Keep them coming. What else? Tell me what you've already achieved. Going back to OT school, right? So we all have yoga certification, awesome, right? Paid off your student loans. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's a huge one, right? Obtaining senior OT status, helping other therapists start their own private practice, beautiful. Okay, so you've already got a great track record of being successful. And I will tell you something, what you're gonna learn tonight, I'm gonna teach you a process, but the truth is, you guys already know the process because you've already done it dozens and dozens and dozens of times in your life already. So you're already successful because you've proved it before with all the things you've already done. And this is the thing, you're going to be successful also in the area where you're stuck when you apply the same exact process to how you achieved those other successes, right? So in other words, the process of getting unstuck is already inside you because you've done it before, okay? So when you shift, you suddenly see things differently, you take action and make things happen. So go ahead. Okay, great, thanks. You can leave it there. So this is an amazing quote by Earl Nightingale that I absolutely love. Success is nothing more than a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That means that any person that knows what they are doing and where they are going is a success. Any person with a goal toward which they are working is a successful person. So that's it, right? When you know what you want, when you're clear on what you want, and you're going for it, you're a success. And what happens is there's something about the human experience that I believe we're always dealing with something. I think as long as you're alive, as long as all of us are alive and we're all breathing air, all of us, myself included, we're all going to be dealing with something. So there's always that one thing, right? So, you know, when you think back to your life, the problems that you had 5 years ago probably were very different than the problems you have today, right? And then if you fast forward 5 years from today, there's a really good chance you're going to be dealing with a whole different set of things where you're stuck, right? So today is a snapshot. It's just a snapshot. So I always encourage people to not ever get discouraged because you have what it takes within you to get through and to break through all the stuff that you're dealing with right now. Even though it might seem impossible, I promise you it's not impossible because truly anything is possible. So go ahead, Carrie, you can flip the next one. Okay, so on the surface, this is an iceberg. We've all seen this, okay? This is your life. This is what your life looks like, right? This is my life, this is your life. This is what everybody can see, all the things that are working about your life, all the stuff you put on Facebook, all the stuff you put on Instagram. It's the person you show up at work, right? It's the person you are for your family. It's the stuff that works and it's the stuff that doesn't work, right? It's all that stuff you shared in the chat box earlier around the things that you're stuck in, right? So go ahead and switch to the next slide. This is underneath the iceberg. And we've all seen this before, but as a reminder, the stuff under the surface, that is all of your hidden beliefs, all the stuff that Erin just talked about, okay? All the stuff the reasons that keep us stuck, it's all under the surface. This is a perfect representation of the psychological and the emotional stuff that goes on underneath the surface that keeps us stuck. Now, yes, absolutely, there are real things sometimes, there are real obstacles, time, money, energy, resources, things like that, that appear on the surface that can give us the illusion of why we're stuck. But ultimately, all that stuff, all those other obstacles, the physical world obstacles very often, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, and I forget too sometimes, a lot of times that stuff on the surface will materialize because of all of the beliefs, all the stories, all the things we say to ourselves. That iceberg is all the self-talk, that chatter that goes on all day long in your mind, every day, from when you're figuring out, well, first of all, when you're probably like changing to get into the shower and you have that moment where you're complaining about your body, okay, or you're lamenting about what you look like or the wrinkles in your face in the mirror, okay, to picking out an outfit, there's always this dialogue that's constantly going, right? And then the dialogue that you have throughout your whole day, we can often talk ourselves into a place where it appears that we're very stuck when really we're actually not. There's like a dialogue of a steady stream of, I don't want to call it lies, but it kind of is, right? It's kind of like this dialogue of things that aren't possible or we think that aren't possible because we have ourselves convinced, okay? Fear is very powerful and fear is what lives under the surface of that iceberg. So you can switch to the next slide. So here's the thing, this is the truth. There's only one obstacle in your way of future achievement of tomorrow, and that is the doubt that you carry today of what is possible, right? So the truth is anything's possible. We know that logically, but really it's doubt that can sometimes hold us back, okay? And what is doubt? Doubt is simply indecision. It's a level of indecision between your heart when you believe something is possible and you get a flash of like, oh, I want to do this, or oh, maybe I'll start my own practice. Maybe I'll go back to school. Maybe I'll do this or that. And then suddenly this doubt will creep in and go, nah, there's no way that can happen, right? So again, to pull back Kara's story when she was at her job and she was working so many hours and she was exhausted, right? That little voice in Kara's head was like, well, what are you talking about? You can't quit. You gotta carry the family with the insurance or whatever it is, right? Like there's a level of dialogue that when we start to believe it, that's when doubt creeps in. So really, ultimately, there's only one obstacle, and that's doubt. So we're gonna go through these 6 steps. Thanks for pulling up this slide. And in the 6 steps, this is the area earlier that you said that you had a success, okay? If you look back, whether it was going back to school, getting a certification, earning a PhD, from the very first time when you were a little child, when you were like 2 years old, 3 years old, and you were learning to walk, or learning to talk, or learning to use utensils, when you were a little kid, okay, all the way up to being an adult, every success you've ever had, I promise you, you've gone through the same exact stages, okay? So first you had clarity. You knew what you wanted. The second was you committed to it. You wanted it so bad you could taste it. The third is you were willing to be uncomfortable. You were willing to make whatever sacrifices you needed. You were willing to look silly. You were willing to not be good at something. 4, you created a system for support and success. You did not get to where you got on that goal without some sort of system of success. You paid the price, whether it was money, sacrifice of time, energy, whatever, you paid a price. And then the last thing is you transformed. You were literally not the same person again. Okay, so before we move on, take a minute again to go into the chat box, because for this next section, I really want you to consider the area where you're stuck now, okay? So rather than be vague, you can, if you want, you could put it in the chat box, okay? But if you don't want to put it in a chat box, if it's very personal to you and you don't feel comfortable sharing it, that's totally fine. I want you to take a minute and write it down on a sticky note so you have it right next to you. And I want you to think about this process as we go through over the next few minutes. So just take a minute and write it down. If you're comfortable, put it in the chat box. I can't actually see any of the chats at this point, Kara, so if there's anybody that wants to share, you can, I'm going to take it, let me see. Raise 3 birds with 5 men, starting business now. Okay, actually, I just shifted something so I can actually see your guys' chats. Okay, so if you're comfortable sharing your area where you're stuck, okay, again, it could be any area. It could be a career stuckness. It could be a relationship stuckness. It could be a personal stuckness. Okay, we can be stuck all over the place. But if you want, share it in the box. Okay, and share the area. Okay, everybody's sharing the numbers. We're going to go over that in a minute. Okay, so it sounds like you guys are already pretty clear where you're stuck on this continuum. Okay, so all right, so we're gonna start going. So Carrie, you can do the next slide. So for this part, think about the area where you're stuck. Okay, and we're going to talk about the first area. So the first area is clarity. Okay, now again, this seems obvious, right? But the thing is, clarity is often the #1 reason why we don't get what we want. Okay, there's a saying, people don't have what they want because they don't know what they want. Okay, so clarity is one of these things where the universe responds to being very specific. Okay, so again, going back to what Kara mentioned earlier when she was sharing about Will and Alex telling her to focus, and having her husband tell her to focus. And then suddenly when she focused, boom, that's when things started happening, right? And that's the same thing for you. When you focused on what you wanted, things started to happen, okay? So I want you to think about this for a second. Would you ever go into a restaurant, sit down, and when the waitress or waiter comes over and they say, what would you like? Would you ever turn to the waitress or waiter and say, oh, just bring me a meal? You probably wouldn't say that, right? And if you were at say at a festival or something and you walked up to the bar and you were going to order a drink, you wouldn't walk up to the bartender and just say, give me a drink. The bartender would say, well, what kind of a drink do you want? Okay, what exactly do you want? And the waiter or waitress would probably say something like, well, what exactly do you want? Do you want meat? Do you want chicken? Do you want French fries with that? Right? You wouldn't go to a deli and just order a sandwich. The delicatessen would be like, what exactly do you want? And when you are very specific on what you want and you are really clear on what you want, you will get what you want for the most part. Again, yes, there's some circumstances, right? Sometimes we don't get what we want, but it's exactly what we need. I'm sure we've all had that experience in life, right? So clarity is something that's always the number one thing. And sometimes when I work with people as a coach, people don't know what they want, because I'll often hear people say, well, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. But if you don't know what you want, I encourage you to start to give thought to what you don't want. Because at the very least, most of us know what we don't want, okay? Many, many years ago when I was a therapist, I was still treating, I worked in a spinal cord injury unit. I was a senior therapist on a spinal cord injury unit. And I loved having that job because I had such a fancy title. And I was working in this like world-class hospital in Washington, D.C., National Rehab Hospital. I actually worked there as a senior therapist. I was honored to have the position, right? But every day my commute was an hour and 30 minutes one way. So I would leave my house in the morning at 6:30. No, it was earlier than that. I would get up at like 4 in the morning to get ready. And then I'd leave my house at like 5 in the morning. And I had to be at work before 7 a.m. And it was an hour and a half away from my house. I didn't know yet what I wanted, okay, as a career, but I knew in that moment that no matter what I do, I will never drive more than like 15 or 20 minutes away from my house. I was clear I was not the kind of person that wanted to sit in a car every day for 3 hours of my day. And every single day when I left that job, no kidding, I had to like drink coffee and like smack myself to stay awake on the drive home because I was always afraid I was going to get in a car accident. Loved the job. It was an amazing, awesome position, but way too far from my house. And it sucked the life out of me because my whole life was just altered because how long that commute was. So I didn't know what I wanted yet, but I knew I didn't want to drive an hour and a half a day. So in that moment, I got clear on what I didn't want, okay? So go ahead and switch to the next slide, because again, I could talk for hours and I don't want to take up like 99 minutes of your time. So this is what it looks like when you're stuck, when you're not clear, okay? If anybody lives in an area where there's a lot of fog, okay, this is kind of what it looks like. And your most natural thing to do when there's fog is stop your car, or at the very least, slow down. I don't know anybody that drives fast in a fog. If you do, you're kind of probably not somebody I want to be on the same road with, right? If there's this much fog, right? Naturally, you're going to slow down. Naturally, you're going to stop. And click the next slide, Kara. When you're clear, the road looks like this, right? Naturally, you're going to speed up. When there's fog, when you're not clear, it's natural to be stuck. It's normal to feel like you're stuck. That's actually, you guys, it's a really good thing, okay? It's a really good thing that you want to celebrate. I know it seems ridiculous and counterintuitive to celebrate that you're stuck because it's such a terrible place to feel like you're in, but when you actually stop and acknowledge that that stuck place is actually keeping you safe for the time being, just like a fog, you wouldn't drive fast in a fog because you could crash your car, okay? That stuck place is giving you time to process what's actually at stake and what's actually happening. And when that fog lifts and the road is clear, you will go faster than you can imagine, okay? So next slide. So if you don't have what you want in this moment, I want to invite you to consider that you have not fully clarified exactly what it is that you want, that that's the part that you're stuck in, that you're just not exactly clear yet, okay? Next slide. So the next part, number 2, again, go back to where you've already had success and where you're stuck right now, committing to your goal, okay? Where a lot of people get stuck in the sense of commitment is they're not really committed. They're just interested, okay? And there's a big difference between being interested and being committed. Because when you're only interested, you just want to do it when it's convenient, okay? When you're only interested, you're only willing to do stuff for a short period of time, and then you lose interest again because something better came along, okay? Exercise is a perfect example. A lot of people that I work with as clients, at least when they begin to hire me, and I'm sure a lot of people on this call, because we're all human, exercise is something that a lot of us are just interested in it, right? Because if it's a nice day or you're going to go for a bike ride, great, we'll go for a bike ride. It's a nice day. Or if you're in the mood, you'll exercise, right? The people that are truly committed to exercise, those are the ones that are getting up at like 5 in the morning in the dark and they're going for the run, okay? Or they're getting up super early and they're going to the CrossFit classes to train, or Olympic athletes or dancers, or, you know, whatever kind of sport, when you're passionate about a sport. Those people are up early and they work out and they're intent, right? That's the difference between being interested and being committed, okay? When you're interested in animals, you like to visit other people that have animals, right? For a long time, I was only interested in getting a dog. I liked other people's dogs, right? But I wasn't willing yet to commit. And then there was a moment where I was like, you know what? I really want a dog. This is years ago. And I was willing to commit because I knew that the minute I had the dog, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be at least a 15-year commitment. I'm going to be waking up in the middle of the night when this little guy's a puppy crying. I'm going to be cleaning up poop and pee sometimes when they have accidents. I'm going to have to train this animal. I'm going to have to pour money into this animal, right? So when you commit, you are all in because there's a shift in your heart, okay? Another funny example is interested. When you're interested, you get a bumper sticker. When you're committed, you get a tattoo, okay? A tattoo is for life, right? So when you are willing to commit, you are all in, okay? You're all in. And the only reason most people are willing to go all in is because there's something that got shifted in their heart, okay? So on a deep values level, something that's really meaningful to you is shifted. I was willing to go all in and get a puppy, and this is years ago. My dog is like 13 now. I have 2 dogs actually. But I was originally willing to get the dog because something in me shifted. It shifted in my heart. At the time, I was single, and every night I'd come home to an empty house. And I thought, you know what? I want something to love. Like, and a plant is just not cutting it. Like, I want something to love and care for and snuggle. And I just wanted to pour my heart into something else. And I was willing. I didn't just want to be a part-time, you know, dog babysitter. I wanted to go all in. So I got the dog. Okay. And that same level of commitment can be applied to anything. But when you work it back to your goal, think about how committed are you? Or in this moment, are you just interested? And how you shift to being just interested to being committed is you start to consider how much it's costing you to not be committed, okay? Joy, fulfillment, you know, a sense of passion about your life, about your job, about your world, okay? When you are waking up every day with that sense of dread, okay, and your joy and fulfillment is not being fulfilled, okay, or you've got that longing in your heart, okay, that is a really high price to pay for not being committed. So once you get really clear on your goals, on your dreams inside your heart and your heart is in, you're committed, okay? So go ahead to the next slide. So going back to the area where you're stuck, again, make this real. I want you guys to make this real. I don't want this to be like a TV show where I'm just talking at you, okay? I want you to really internalize this. Think about the thing that you wrote down on the sticky note, okay? If you don't have what you want in this moment, consider gently that you haven't yet fully committed to it, okay? So next slide. So this is a big one. Number 3 is being willing to be uncomfortable, okay? Nobody ever got to their full, complete goal without going through a stage where they were awkward, vulnerable, and uncomfortable, okay? Again, think about every goal that you've ever achieved, okay? Usually, before you're good at it, you're really bad at it, okay? Usually, you make a lot of mistakes. There's a sense of awkwardness. You're afraid, okay? And you don't want to look bad, okay? You don't want to look bad. And that's the human experience. None of us want to look bad, okay? None of us do. Because when you're uncomfortable, it's like this awkward experience, right? It's like that experience of going through adolescence, right? When you went through adolescence, right, the whole experience was awkwardness. Like you lived through that for years, okay? Whether you had braces or glasses or pimples, or you just felt awkward in your skin, right? We've all had that experience, okay? And this is the thing, usually with a goal, right? We only want the end result. We totally forget that there's this process called being uncomfortable and awkward and just not being good at this thing and having it just look like a hot mess before you're good at it, okay? And again, that is natural, it's normal. It's perfect. So when you're in the middle of something and it looks ugly and messy, yay for you, that's awesome, because guess what? That means you're on your way somewhere. That means you're on your way, it's happening. It's in the process of becoming. You're in the process of becoming, I don't want to say master, I hate that word. You're in the process of becoming excellent at it, okay? So next slide. So a few years back, my husband and I, this is not my kitchen. I wish it was my kitchen, but it's not my kitchen, okay? But the example still holds. A few years ago, my husband and I redid our kitchen, okay? And we were living in I mean, it's still a small kitchen, but it was ugly, right? It was very like 1970s Brady Bunch, you know, ugly, okay, was our kitchen. And it was fine, it worked, but it was just ugly, right? So every time I went in to cook anything, anytime we had company, I was like embarrassed. I just hated the way the kitchen looked, right? So then one day I was like, I really want to get a new kitchen. The process of going from the old kitchen where I was like kind of ready to be done with it, I wanted the new kitchen. In my mind's eye, all I could see was the new kitchen, okay? This picture is of the new kitchen, okay? What I wasn't expecting, and most people don't expect, and most people don't want, is this. Before you have the nice, beautiful, fancy kitchen, they have to come in and do a demo job on your current kitchen, right? So for like 3 weeks, my husband and I lived out of the living room, okay? We had all of our supplies in crates in the living room. The whole house was a mess. The kitchen was a mess. The living room was a mess. Every area was a mess. We were making our morning coffee in the bathroom because there was an outlet in there that we could use, and it was okay if we spilt anything or whatever. It was uncomfortable. It was messy, right? But guess what? When it was all said and done, I now finally have this beautiful, awesome kitchen, okay, that I love, right? And that's the thing. Whatever your goal is, wherever you are stuck in this moment where you are like, oh my gosh, it's never going to change. I'm not going to get out of this. This is just the way it is for the rest of my life. I promise you, it's not. It's not. There is a stage that you might need to go through called being really uncomfortable and really vulnerable, okay? And if that's where you're at, it is okay. I promise you, you're going to get through it. You will get through it with the next several steps, okay? So if you don't have what you want right now, consider that you just haven't been willing yet to go through that discomfort and vulnerable part, okay? Next slide. So number 4, creating a system for support and success. So a building can only be as high as the scaffolding will allow, right? So if you've ever seen a building being constructed, whether the building is 1 story high or 50 stories high, there was scaffolding around that building, okay, supporting it, supporting the structure as it was being built. And this is a big one because with support and success, it's not really a matter of if you need help to get to your goal, it's a matter of what kind of help, okay? So if you've ever moved, I use this example a lot too, if you've ever moved, when you're moving, put it in the chat box real quick if you've ever, I'm sure everybody by this age hopefully has moved at least one time, whether you've moved in and out of college, or you've moved a child in and out of college, or you moved a house. Let's take a quick break. I want to hear it in the chat box. Who's moved at least once? And if you've moved more than once, let's see how many times you've moved. Coast to coast, oh my God.
Hey, Erin, we also have a question, or I mean, Jill, we also have a question.
Oh my gosh, 13 times.
Can you be stuck in 2 or 3 or more areas, or is there usually one overall area that's dominant?
No, totally. You can be stuck in several places at once. And that's another really good point. Thank you for bringing it up. When people are stuck, you can be stuck in more than one place, okay? But the thing is, these steps are not necessarily sequential, okay? Clarity is usually the first one to happen. Commitment is definitely the second one, okay? But all the steps work simultaneously. So all 6 of these are like almost like an engine, okay? They're all running. So when you're in action and you're actually moving toward your goal, all 6 of these steps are in process all at the same time, okay? So, oh my gosh, we got people that moved a lot, okay? At least 8 times, wow, that's crazy. The Mary's moved at least 8 times. Susan, no way, you've moved 40 times, good grief, all over the world, wow. Amazing, 12 times, okay, perfect. So however many times you guys have moved, okay, when you think of creating a system for support and success, okay, think about the stuff when you're moving, okay? There's certain things that you can carry all by yourself, okay? You can carry pillows, you can carry a lamp, you can carry small boxes, okay? You can carry all that stuff by yourself, no problem. But then there's other things that are really big: couches, mattresses, entertainment centers, television sets, dressers. These are the bigger, heavier items that without a second person or without a crew or without a lot of other people helping you, you would be stuck in that spot forever. You would not be able to move. Or if you moved, you would have fled and had to have bought a whole new set of stuff, okay? So when you're thinking about a goal in your life that you want to move toward, okay, if you are stuck in this place, which is a very common place, by the way, to be stuck, because a lot of people don't like to ask for help, okay? Who likes to ask for help? We might have a story around being, you know, oh, I don't want to be an inconvenience, or I don't want to be a burden, or I don't want to bother that person, right? Or I don't want them to know that I don't know what I'm doing. They might realize I'm a fraud. They might think I'm an imposter, right? We don't want anybody to know that we don't all have our act together, okay? So we're afraid to ask for help. We're afraid to get support. But ironically, that's the very thing that's going to get you to the next level, right? Again, most of the people on this call, I'm going to guess, are therapists, right? OTs, PTs. Think about your patients for a minute. If you're helping a patient up a set of stairs, right? Imagine that patient, they're on the staircase, right? Isn't it so much easier to walk that patient up the stairs when there's railings on both sides, right? And the patient feels 10 times more confident because there's railings on both sides. I'm so safe now because I got railings on both sides, and I've got my therapist behind me and another therapist in front of me, guiding the way, helping my back, giving me cues, giving me reminders, right? With railings. That is a support system. That is what's going to get you to your next level with your goals, is when you have that support system around you of experts and coaches and trainers and just everything around you, because they believe in you to get you to that next level, to give you tips and strategies so you're not struggling in isolation and working in a vacuum all by yourself, okay? So next slide. If you don't have what you want in this moment, just consider you have not yet developed the structures or support systems for yourself that's going to work for your goal for success, okay? So nothing wrong, it just might be one of the areas where you're stuck, okay? Next slide, pay the price. So you want to be able to make an investment of yourself. Obviously, there's a financial investment, right? Sometimes, yes, you're hiring a coach, you're hiring a trainer, you're taking a class to get certified, okay? So thinking about the folks that said earlier, they finished OT school, you got a PhD, you know, you earned another degree, you earned something, you achieved a goal. On some level, you definitely paid a price. You might have paid a financial price. You might have paid a price for sacrificing, okay? When I went back to my, for my graduate degree, I got my original OT degree back in 1991, right? And back then, you didn't need a master's degree way back then, okay? You're fine with a 4-year degree. And then over the years, it became like mandatory to get a master's degree. And I was grandfathered in. I didn't need a master's degree, but I wanted it. It was like sort of this bucket list item for me. But I was like 48 years old with kids and a husband and dogs and a house. And I'm like, there is no way. Like for years, I had put off going back to school. I kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. But yet inside there was this yearning, this unfinished business, this like passion, like I wanted to get it. I just deeply in my soul wanted to get it, but it was one of those things that for years I put it off, put it off, put it off. Finally, I was willing, because I was willing to pay the price, and it was a big price, I could tell you. Not just the ticket item for the tuition, okay, but no time, which you guys can appreciate, right? I was working full-time coaching, like full-time, right? 40 hours plus a week. I sacrificed every weekend working, writing papers, whatever, all the stuff that you got to do to earn a degree. Okay. So there was financial commitment. I had to pay the price financially. I paid the price with my time. At that time, I paid the price with my body, because you can't get through graduate school without sitting a lot. So I was sitting more than I had ever sat in my life, read more research articles and wrote more research articles than I ever had in my life. So I probably put on like 10 pounds during the year I went to graduate school. It's all gone now, but that was a price I paid, right? So the freedom to just do whatever I wanted on the weekends, that was a price I paid. Just committing to sitting and being focused, saying no to social events, parties, barbecues, lots of stuff that were going on. Vacation that year, we didn't take a vacation because we put that money into grad school, right? So there was a big investment in me to get that degree because I really wanted it and I was willing to pay the price, okay? So for you, there is a price to pay for what you want. It might be financial, it might be time, it might be an energy level sacrifice, right? It might be what other sacrifices are there? What are things that you guys have sacrificed? So throw it in the chat real quick. Things that you've already sacrificed with other goals that you've had. Let's hear it. Freedom, security, yeah. Right, again, Kara sacrificed a sense of security, right? When she went back, or when she left her job, there was that sense of security, steady paycheck, health benefits, right? Time, money, fun. Oh, fun's a good one, yeah. Sacrificing fun, financial security, yep. Yeah, it's scary, it can be scary. Free time, yep, there's a lot of free time that gets sacrificed when you're going for a goal, when you're really going for something, right? Relationship, time, exactly, that's the time. Exactly. Self-care, yeah, that's a big one, right? And as OTs and therapists, don't we know that we should be taking care of ourselves? We know that intellectually, right? We know that. But so often we can let our own self-care on the back burner because we're pouring it into another goal. Family time, self-care, sleep, oh my gosh, that's a big one. Sleep, yes, sacrificing sleep, exactly. All right, next slide. Sleep. So if you don't have what you want, I want to invite you to consider that you might have patterns of inconsistency around paying the price to have what you want, or you just haven't been willing to pay the price, meaning there's no perceived value, right? So you can't get this great body if we don't go to the gym, right? There's a whole sowing, I'm sorry, how does it say? We reap what we sow, right? So if we're pouring into an area, we're going to get back, and that's the price. That's the price. Okay. Next slide. Oh, what happened? We skipped a few. Okay, here we go. Wait, we're at 5. I'm gonna make sure I don't miss one. 5 is paying the price. Yeah, we got one more to go. So own it, or we should be at step 6. Own and embrace the new you. Go back. There we go, right there. Stop. Okay, good. All right, so owning and embracing the new you. So there's a difference, you guys, between change and transformation, all right? So when we're only changing, okay, when I do this lecture for a big group of people, I usually invite people to partner up with a partner, and then I tell them, I say, turn to your partner and look at their face, look at their body, look at what they're wearing, and study them for a minute. And then I have people turn around, and when they turn around, I say, change something. Change something. So usually people will like take their ponytail out, or they might like take their earrings off, or they might like take their glasses off, or they might, I don't know, take a vest or something off, right? They just change something about their appearance. And then I say, okay, go back to your partner again and see if you can figure out what changed. And then the partner is supposed to guess what the other person changed. And usually they're quick. They're like, oh, you took your glasses off, or you took off your earrings, or, and then I wait and I pause and I'm quiet and I don't say anything. And inevitably, the next thing that happens, the very next thing that happens, before the rest of the lecture goes on, is the person will put their glasses back on, they'll put their ponytail back in their hair, they'll put their earrings back on, they immediately revert back to the thing that they changed. And that's the difference between change and transformation. Most of the time, if we're not achieving the goal that we said that we wanted, we only changed. We didn't transform, okay? That's the difference between somebody that like loses a bunch of weight and then gains it all back, okay? Or they start something and then suddenly they revert back, okay? You see this actually a lot in the world of recovery, where somebody will quit drinking or quit smoking or quit whatever, and then they'll have a certain amount of time where they're like, you know, they're good, and then they go back to drinking, back to smoking, they revert back, okay? Because they haven't fully embraced and owned their new identity. Because sometimes having that new identity can be very, very scary, okay? So when you transform, you don't leave any room to go back to that old way, right? So in other words, a butterfly does not transvert back to being a caterpillar, right? A frog does not go back to being a tadpole, okay? A transformation is something that is completely like you are a totally different person. You are a new identity. You sometimes often don't even recognize the person that you've become because you are so different than the person that you used to be. You have no fear anymore. You have courage now. You feel like a different person. And I can ask this, if anybody on the call, who here is a parent? Who here has children? Tap in the chat box if you have children. Awesome. Lots of people are parents, right? Are you the same person today that you were before you had kids? Yeah, right? Having a baby, raising a child, raising a human, keeping that kid alive for 18 years, right? Or however long they are an adult, right? It is an absolutely life-transforming experience to become a parent, okay? It's even a life-transforming experience, even before you have kids. Even for the folks on the call that don't have kids, if you're just married, okay, I can tell you personally, I'm not the same person. I don't have my own biological kids. I have stepkids. I have what I call bonus kids, okay? They're amazing, and I've been raising them since they're, you know, how old were they? 9 and 10. I came into their life when they were 9 and 10, so I've helped raise them. And even stepkids, I'm not the same person, okay? Believe me, I worry and I'm neurotic as a regular mom, okay, with my stepkids. But even just getting married, okay, was a game changer for me. I'm not the same person as I was when I was single. None of you are. If you're married, if you have kids, okay, once you go through, the folks on this call right now, if you finished a PhD, right, you've completed a doctorate degree or a master's degree or any degree, you're not the same person that you were when you started. Not at all. That is transformation. That's transformation, okay? When you totally step into this new identity that's yours, and there's no room to go back. You have fully embraced the new you. But if you're finding yourself taking 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, okay? You are in a process of changing and not fully getting into the new you. So Kara, can you forward one more slide? So in this moment, if you're still stuck, okay, and you don't have what you want, just consider you might possibly be hanging on to your old identity of who you used to be, and not embracing the new identity of the person you're becoming. Okay, so that might be an area where you're stuck. Okay, next slide. So once again, go through the area where you are currently stuck, okay, and then put that side by side with the area that you've already achieved success, okay? Because again, the formula is one you've been using all along, your whole life since you were a little baby and you learned to walk, all the way until today. It's the same formula. Having clarity, being committed, being willing to be uncomfortable, creating a system of support for yourself so you can make it to the next level, paying a price, and then embracing this new person you've become. That is the formula. Next slide. I want to just read this in its entirety. Our greatest fear, this is by Marianne Williamson, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just for some of us, it's for everyone. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that is my wish for every one of you on this call, is to liberate all of you from your fear so you can step into your light and your greatest versions of yourself. So next slide. If you're thinking, what is next? I want you to remember something or think about something. You heard a lot of great stuff on this webinar, okay? You have probably been to dozens and dozens and dozens of webinars. The truth is, you're gonna hear great things. And then by tomorrow afternoon or by next week, you're gonna forget most of what we talked about tonight. It is the human condition, okay? Because change doesn't happen in one webinar. Change doesn't happen in a 1 hour time slot, right? The folks that finished a big long degree, change does not happen overnight. It happens over time. True lasting change unfolds very slowly and it evolves over time. Internal transformation, emotionally and psychologically, usually has to happen first before you see change on the surface, right? So if you see a plant on the surface, lots of stuff is happening underground with that seed before it pops out and before it becomes a plant and before it blooms and develops fruit. So if you're ready to learn more about how you can really transform and step into the highest, greatest version of yourself, Kara is going to tell you all about how to do that. Kara, I leave it to you.
I'm coming. This is like imperfect action, people. I mean, this whole thank you for bearing with us and my computer issues along the way. So you guys will be getting a special present personally from Jill at the end of this, but we want to share with you a program that we have been working on for a while that we feel can really help a lot of people get where they need to be. So we've done surveys. We've asked people like that have gone through masterminds, what didn't you get? What was missing? We've asked people, what do they need, and so forth. And we took all of that information to come up with this mastermind. Now we are very also adamant that this mastermind isn't for everyone. We know that. So we're gonna go through now, if I can pull it up and all that, you know, because nothing's really working the greatest for me today, but I'm going to work to pull this up. We're gonna go through what this mastermind is that we've created. And I can tell you it's not a bunch of content, okay? It's not all of this information thrown at you where you have to try to figure it out, because that's exactly what we didn't want to happen. We wanted to create a program where you could literally go through all the steps that you needed to get where you need to be. And I might not be able, Erin, is there any way that you could click on the link I sent you and share your screen?
I might be able to share mine too if you can't do it there.
Just gonna dance because I can't share anything.
Hang on 1 second here. I'm trying to pull it up.
So my computer issues, you know, a friend of mine thought he could help me. So my computer's been sitting over there for like a week or so. Couldn't do anything. And I took it into a guy today and I was like, yeah, I should be able to fix it and have it to you tomorrow. I'm like, are you serious? I could have done this a long time ago when I was having all of this problem, all of these problems. So
Erin, can you get it? I might be able to share my screen.
Why don't you try, Jill? I'm still looking for it.
I'll try. Hold on.
And if you guys have any questions, let us know as we go through this. So.
There we go. I'm just going to go to the link, right, Kara?
Yeah, just go to the link I sent you.
The most recent one from the
Yep, the one I sent you guys today.
can you guys see it?
Yes.
You can see it? Okay. All right, so I'm just going to scroll. Kara, do you want to share?
Okay, so we have created the Next Level Mastermind, and the goal of the Next Level Mastermind, you know, off the scroll, I can't see anything. The goal of the Next Level Mastermind is to level up in your career and life, or one or the other, not even just your career or life, okay? So the Next Level Mastermind is an intensive 9-month program that will help support you with getting from where you are now in your life to where you need to be. I'll leave this. It's not a quick 30-day fix or a 5-day challenge or a 30-day challenge or a 3-month challenge. Obviously, we've dug into Jill's expertise with working with clients over the last 18+ years on where people really need to go to do the dig dive, to do the big deep dive that they may have never done. This mastermind utilizes an inquiry-oriented approach, facilitated discussion in workshop format, rather than information overload. So it's going to be delivered in a very timely fashion to support everyone where you're at. And then keep scrolling down. Okay, so who is this for? This is for people that if you lack clarity and vision, are you overscheduled, overwhelmed? Have you invested thousands of dollars in programs but are still at square one? Are you stuck in a learning loop and never take action? Do you feel like you're never ready? Are you stressed? Are you anxious? Are you moving forward but not fast enough? Do you lack self-care and meaningful relationships? There are so many people that this program is for. What this program can do for you is it can help you. This is what we envision this doing for people that are going to be going through this program. How would it feel to wake up with excitement each morning? How would it feel to have the time you need to take care of your health and relationships? How would it feel to accomplish and finish everything you start? How would it feel to have the clarity and know what you want? How would it feel to have the support you need? How would it feel for your goals to actually align with your beliefs and values? Okay, keep going. These are the outcomes. The ultimate goal is to have all participants level up in their career and life, whatever that looks like to each person. So we realize that we're all coming into this mastermind at different levels, at different positions, all with different goals. And we want each person to have the time and support they need to be able to get to that next level in their career and or life. The program will be addressing underlying emotional and psychological needs involved in personal transformation. Coaching issues range from career fulfillment and advancement to interpersonal development to health and well-being concerns. Participants will have the opportunity to become emotionally prepared and well-positioned to make a change, to have the clarity and mindset needed for success. And this program will help you achieve clarity. You will have the time and support needed to implement the concepts so you can move towards your ultimate goals. And we can kind of move past some of these quotes. We'll go to the program concepts. And I'm just going to kind of highlight these. So program concepts, we have to start with clarity. You have to understand the process of change, the stages of change, where we talk about purpose and passions, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you want, doing a vision exercise, all the way out to your legacy vision. Then you have to commit to your goal. You have to understand your why and the why behind the why now, what is in the why. You need to understand the difference between a goal and a commitment and really dig deep. What is the unspoken underlying commitment and the nature of why or where you're stuck? Understand the difference between fear and anxiety and a deep dive into all of these obstacles, whether they're outer or inner obstacles. Then you need to be willing to be uncomfortable, and you're going to have support along this, which is what is so awesome. You need to go through the process of growth and change. We're going to be discussing what it means to be vulnerable, the tendencies to avoid pain and discomfort, deep dive into procrastination, and ultimately learning how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then create a system for support and success, understanding self-efficacy, what it means to believe in yourself, strengths and successes, support, discussion, team and tribe discussion, what you need to succeed, and pay the price, understand the concept of sacrifice, whether that is time, money, energy, freedom, understanding the concept of sowing and reaping, and understanding the power of consistency versus inconsistency. And then finally, embrace the new you. We are going to have a big celebration come May on embracing everyone in the program's new you. And you're going to be understanding the skills needed for growth versus the skills needed for maintenance, understanding the discussion of change versus transformation. And this is huge. Knowing those early warning signs of slipping back into old comfortable patterns, and then ultimately preparing your heart and mind for greatness. So, and we can skip over the, what is going to happen is there is going to be bi-monthly live trainings. So Jill is going to be providing a live training twice a month, and it's going to be delivered by Zoom. And again, we're limiting this to 30 people maximum because we want, and I'll talk about how we're even going to break it down deeper than that, because we want a small group that we can make sure everyone's accountable and moving through the process. So it can't be a mass amount of people. So we're having bi-monthly live trainings that Jill will lead. Erin and I will pop in on some of these. Erin will be doing more, of course, than I will, because they're kind of the gurus in this area. I'm going to be going through the whole process, let me tell you.
We all are.
So bi-monthly live trainings. And then we're going to have bi-monthly small group pod meetings. So 1 week, we're going to have the live training. And then we're all going to have life work to work on, okay, for the rest of that week through the next. And then everyone's going to be divided into small group pod meetings where you're going to build that system of support and have the accountability you need to move through these 9 months. There's going to be a pod leader, facilitator for each of the small group pods, and we want to keep it around the 5 to 8 size. We want, maybe even closer to the 5. It depends on the numbers. But we want to have a small, intimate group where you guys are comfortable sharing and working together to help each other grow through this process. We are having a system built in to help with accountability. We'll be using Trello boards and kind of guiding people through the process. Each person in the program is going to get one-on-one coaching sessions with Jill, again, who is a professional certified life coach. Each participant receives 2 50-minute personal coaching sessions, that can be used anytime during the 9 months. And of course, you can always add on additional, but you know, it depends on each person as we go, but 2 are included within the program. And then life work. So you have the handouts, the supplemental information provided for the trainings and the pod meetings. And then accountability, built-in accountability to keep you on track for success throughout the program. So, you know, Jill, Erin, myself, kind of overall doing the trainings. Jill's really doing all the trainings. Erin and I are going to be helping out. But then we have pod facilitators that are going to be helping guide you through the process. And then let's scroll down. So this program is starting in September. It is actually starting, yep, the 21st of September. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but this will be on the link you'll have so you can look through it. But we have broken it down, what's going to be going on every month from September, October, November, all the way through until we get to May, where in May we're going to have a big celebration party because we have got you where you need to be. Okay. The value of the program, I mean, it was hard to put into numbers because it's way more valuable than $7,249. I mean, I can just tell you that. Just listening and learning, and with Jill guiding us through the program, it's way more than that. But I also didn't want to overinflate things or whatever. So there's 14 trainings, there's 14 pod group meetings, and there's actually one celebration ending party too that we just put in there. There will be a private Facebook group for those questions, support needed between the pod meetings and trainings, but you're pretty much covered every week. You have the individual coaching sessions, the Trello board, and the life work materials that come with it. Now, it is an application process, but we want it to be upfront and clear because people always want to know what is the price for this, right? So if you pay in full right now, it's $499 per month. If you pay in full after August 30th, it will be $599 per month. And there are different options. So we have the full payment, which up until August 31st is $4,491, which equals out to $499 per month, because I always like to know what that means per month. We do have a 3-month payment plan and a 9-month payment plan. But those who sign up before August 31st, you save like at least $900 and some dollars until after that. We are also offering, for those of you that are on this call and have stayed through with us tonight, because I know it's getting late, those who fill out the application tonight, well, we'll give you 24 hours. Those who fill out the application within the next 24 hours, and that doesn't even mean you're in the program, right? Because we are going to have an interview process because we're so determined that we want this program to be right for you. So you fill out the application, we'll go through the applications, and then we're going to do an interview process and visit and talk with you so you can make sure you know what you're signing up for and feel comfortable with this process, because it is going to be an intimate group, a deep dive group. We're going to be there to support everyone throughout this journey. So those of you that take the leap to fill out the application between in the next 24 hours, and if you decide to sign up, you will get 2 additional coaching sessions. And that can be with Erin, myself, or Jill, depending on kind of where you're at with that. So that's kind of the special bonus for staying on. And we still have something free for everyone who doesn't even want to be part of this program. So I'll get there as well. So go ahead and scroll down. So again, this just kind of overviews everything. The Next Level Mastermind is an intensive 9-month program that will help support you with getting you from where you are now in your life to where you want to be. It's a comprehensive process that will involve a time commitment of approximately 2 to 3 hours per week, which will include 2 monthly large group trainings, 2 monthly small group pod sessions, one-on-one coaching, peer support conversations, and life work assignments. In order to get the most out of this mastermind, you will need to commit to attending and actively participating in all aspects of the program. We are committed that the curriculum is a good match for each student and that each student receives maximum value. Therefore, there are only 30 spots available, and the selection process involves both an application and an interview. And if you are offered a spot in the Next Level Mastermind, you'll be notified in writing within 2 weeks, and probably a lot sooner than that. But again, we just want it to be the right fit. And we're really so excited for this type of program because we see so many other programs out there that are just throwing massive content and not really doing the deep dive that people need. So if you're interested, apply here. Jill, if you could share this link in the chat section.
Yeah.
And even in our Facebook group, because it's live streaming in the Facebook group, that way people can apply and go through the application part if you're interested in it. The screen just goes through Jill, Aaron, and myself, and we do have very special pod leaders. So it depends on how many people we have. But we have some amazing OTs that are going to be also helping with the pod leaders depending on how many people we have in the group. And like we said, it is limited to 30 people and the application process. So benefits, network is your net worth. And I know you guys have heard me say that a million times, but it 100% believe that. Honest feedback, accountability. We are going to be celebrating successes at every pod meeting, probably every training. You're going to be overcoming challenges and obstacles. You will have a personal transformation throughout this 9 months. You will be in an exclusive and supportive community. We're reducing the learning curve. Create a sense of urgency to take action, but in the right way. Learn and navigate challenges through the collective experience and intelligence of a group. So instead of just doing one-on-one coaching, you also get the benefit of everyone working together through this process, and yet your own individual pods working through it, and you get the one-on-one component. Expand your network, already said that, and the sharing of resources. So we are going to open up now just to question and answer sessions. Question and answers. If you guys have any questions for us about the mastermind program. And those of you that have stayed on, we will be sending you a ebook of this, a deeper dive into the 6 steps that Jill has created for her program. So all of you will be getting that as a gift from us for being on the webinar tonight. And I can, does anyone have any questions? I can pull people into the group, so you can also unmute yourself. You can ask questions. Let us know your thoughts. You have Jill here, you have Aaron here, myself. Ask us any questions that you have. We'd love to hear from you. Go to panelists. I'm just keeping promoting. Does anyone have any questions? Or if you don't have any questions, any thoughts? We'd love to hear what you learned tonight. If anything is going to help you, what have you learned? We'd love for you to share any information that you think will help you get where you need to be.
Yeah, I'm always interested in learning what people's takeaway is. Like, what did you, yeah, thank you. What did you learn tonight?
Yes, Shauna, We actually have a therapy business builder program. So if you know what you want to do and you know you want to build a private practice, we have a therapy business builder program that some people that are actually in the webinar tonight are part of. So we can help you, connect so you can learn from others. But the therapy business builder program does everything from step one all the way to the end. And you are also in a community of support within that. So let me know if you have questions on that. And Jill, you have a question. Where did you get your coaching certification from?
I went to a school called IPEC, Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. So that it's based out of New Jersey, but they actually have offices all over the world. It's a live training as well as teletraining. So it's called IPEC, and it's accredited by the International Coach Federation.
Anyone else have questions? Or share one thing you learned tonight. I'm just trying to bring everyone in so we can see everyone who's here. Hello. Change is uncomfortable, yes. That I have a lot to work on. I'd say most all of us probably have a lot to work on, right?
Sure. Me too. All work in progress.
Yep, I have plenty to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Awesome. Kathy, thank you for saying that. Yeah.
One of my biggest obstacles is feeling okay with being uncomfortable. So it's good to know it is part of the process.
Yep. I think I see a question. Is this group open to mostly OTs or other disciplines? I would say we're opening it up to all disciplines. Right, Kara?
Yep. Yeah, it's open up to all. It's open up to all healthcare professionals, and we even have some people that aren't healthcare professionals that are interested. Yep.
Exactly. The content that we're going to be going over in the trainings and in the pods, it's really about universally just being human. This is, I've been doing this for a long time, and the 6-step process is something I've just noticed as a pattern. Like I've worked through a lot of, countless clients, and they sort of all work through that same pattern. And that's what it is. It's going to just support you with getting through that process. And that applies to anybody. Doesn't matter what profession you're in. Yep. Awesome. Yeah, I see a lot of people mentioning the value of learning that it's okay to feel uncomfortable, that it is part of the process. And in the mods, when we broke out the trainings, we're actually going to be spending a lot of time on being uncomfortable, which sounds crazy, but when you get really comfortable being uncomfortable, suddenly you're not going to be afraid anymore to be moving through that process. It really does open up a lot of space. Awesome. Great. Well, Kara, you're muted.
Sorry, my daughter came in to talk to me. We also did a little contest, and I need to look up. So we had a lot of people register for the training, and we did a little contest for those that registered. If you shared and invited someone else to attend, then you're going to be in a contest to get something from us tonight. So while you guys, Erin and Jill, kind of talk, I'm looking up to see who the winner was for that. Again, it's always more about the computer. Okay. So Yvette, Alicia, and Bethany all shared with people to come and attend the meeting and trainings tonight. And Yvette shared with the most people to come. So you will be getting a prize from us, but Alicia and Bethany, you guys will get a prize from us as well. So thank you for helping spread the word and inviting people to attend. I really appreciate that. So we'll get a little prize out to all of you guys for helping us with that. So thank you very much. I need to make sure I write that down so I don't forget. Okay, well, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. I know Lisa said, I think this is a one-of-a-kind program and the group format will give a sense of not being alone in the process. Yes, I agree. I think it's awesome how many people help to create this program from sharing their experiences with other programs, masterminds, continuing education, and just personal experiences. So I'm super excited to begin at the end of January. It will be lots of fun. So thank you all. Jill, did you share the link in the
It's in there. I could share it again.
Oh, I just want to make sure because I'm pretty much sitting here helpless. So
That's okay.
Thank you very much for doing that. And you guys all have a wonderful night. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to Jill, myself, or Erin as well. So have a fabulous night. I know it's getting late there on the East Coast. Gosh, it's like 11 your time, isn't it?
You know what? I'm actually going to go out on a limb. I'm going to, 8, 5, 9, hold on, 6, 9, 6, 2. I'm going to text my cell phone in there. My personal cell, and I'm totally comfortable giving it out. So if anybody has any specific questions about the content, about the webinars, not the webinars, the trainings, if you have any questions at all, just feel free to text me or call me.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill. We're so excited for this. So this is awesome. Have a fabulous night, you East Coasters. Yes, it is late. Get to bed, and we will see you all probably in some fashion or form tomorrow, maybe. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.